We see the battle of the glass cannon versus the bulky boy. The opponent gonna fire off the breaking swipe. Gengar, made of paper, tanks it like an absolute champ. Steelix might think it's thick, however we're running Focus Blast. Does the opponent respect the damage? Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. The Team Rocket takeover is in full swing. I've been grinding hard, and of course I've got absolutely nothing worth showcasing. However, don't worry. cutlassboy has submitted some legacy Gengar battles in the Open Ultra League. Am I the first to showcase this? Of course I'm not. I work 60 hours a week. I do this in my spare time. So if you appreciate me getting this content out, I'd appreciate you smashing that like button. Not only are we taking a look at legacy Gengar, we've also got a 4-star legacy Shadow Hypno. Rounding the team off, we're going to have Hitmonchan. This is going to be a full Kanto team. And in case you like the intro, I hate Steelix. It's an absolute pest in Ultra League. We're running Hitmonchan with close combat. All three of our Pokemon have that huge nuke potential against the common Steelix. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, cutlassboy leads Gengar into Heliolisk. Not fantastic, as Heliolisk is a part normal type, which means they double resist ghost type moves. We say switch into Hypno. The opponent fire off the debuff and switch out into their common annoying threat of Steelix. And guess what? They're about to debuff us once again. Like I said in the intro, we're running a full team with fighting type coverage. However, after a 2-stage lowered attack, unfortunately this Focus Blast won't be enough to secure the knockout. I still get Steelix down below half health. If the opponent attempts to go for the full Dragon Tail farm down, which they do, Hypno reaches the Psyshock and we actually force a Protect Shield. Okay, we're cooking. cutlassboy waits out his timer, sends in Hitmonchan, and of course the opponent fires off yet another debuff. Holy shit, I hate these debuff mon. This is actually the double debuff variant of Steelix. They've got Breaking Swipe and Psychic Fangs. We shield up the next Psychic Fangs. We see the aggressive pivot back into Gengar. Gengar gets the full Shadow Claw farm down. Back out comes Heliolisk. And do they know? Does the opponent respect the damage? Get absolutely wrecked. Gengar claims his first victim. The opponent's final Pokemon is Xerneas, and that's going to be all she wrote, and we're off to a 1-0 start. Heading into the next battle, Gengar into Regirock. We obviously can boom this thing into oblivion with that Focus Blast, however we are going to get heavily outpaced. We shield up the Stone Edge, the opponent then pivot out into Gliscor. cutlassboy farms up well past the Shadow Ball. I imagine the opponent's shield's petrified of Gengar, and they do. Gengar with his menacing smile traps the opponent into a CMP tie that they do not win, and the opponent actually commits their final Protect Shield. Is cutlassboy gonna let Gengar go down? Of course not. This is a Gengar showcase. We shield up the Night Slash, pivot out into Hitmonchan, and we go straight for the Ice Punch. Ice Punch, double super effective and about to knock this Scorpion out of the sky. The opponent's final Pokemon is Venusaur. Hitmonchan can hit for super effective. With the Ice Punch, we go straight for it. cutlassboy going for an undercharge. I like this play a lot. He's probably looking to Confusion farm down Venusaur and then nuke that Regirock with his Hypno. Let's see what he's cooking up. Frenzy Plant does secure the knockout. cutlassboy actually opts to send back out Gengar. The opponent farm up energy, send out Regirock, and Gengar's about to claim a next victim. Hi Regirock, bye Regirock. Get absolutely wrecked. cutlassboy then pivots into Hypno, and 2 Confusions is going to be all she wrote. The opponent reaches a last second charge move, but Hypno at level 50, incredibly thick. It looks like the opponent actually no-bubbled, and we take that game. Oh boy, we're about to see just how glassy Gengar is. The opponent actually opts to pivot out, so we're not going to see how much a Shadow Claw does to us. The opponent could actually be on Dragon Breath. Either way, we fire off the Shadow Punch, forcing an early protection against Scizor, and then we pivot out into Hitmonchan. This isn't enough for an Iron Head. The opponent fire off the Night Slash. We see no boost. The opposing Scizor doesn't commit to the Iron Head. If they even got Iron Head, they could have X-Scissor, of course. The next Night Slash doesn't do much. Hitmonchan gets the full counter farm down, and we've got a nice present for the returning Giratina. They're actually on Dragon Breath, so we're only going to make one move, but this Ice Punch lands for some solid chip damage. The opponent gets the full Dragon Breath farm down, and I imagine we send out Hypno. No, we actually send out Gengar. The opponent's final Pokemon is Poliwrath. It looks like we attempted to CMP tie to the Ice Punch. The opponent doesn't play to CMP. Shadow Punch goes unshielded, and here comes Hypno. Hypno going to be able to get the full Confusion farm down. You will notice by the opponent's animation, this Poliwrath is actually still on Mudshot. So if you want to use Poliwrath in the Open Ultra League, it's definitely worth investing that Elite TM for the legacy move of counter. Speaking of legacy moves, when this Giratina does return, it's time to flex our Psyshock. However, it looks like the opponent has very rudely conceded the match, so cutlassboy goes for the correct play of the fuck you BM Focus Blast. Focus Blast is double resisted due to their ghost typing. Once we stop on lagging, it doesn't get the knockout. We throw one further confusion, snipe with Gengar, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Gengar into Blaziken. A very nice lead. The opponent stays in. The counters are actually triple resisted due to poison resisting fighting and ghost double resisting. We shield up the Blaze Kick Gengar. Look at the Shadow Claws. I was going to say over farming, but I got distracted by just how oppressive these Shadow Claws are. We fire off the first Shadow Punch. The opponent invests the Protect Shield, but Gengar says there's plenty more of where that came from. The second Shadow Punch goes unshielded. The opponent then send out Giratina. My god, they must be core broker by Gengar. Gengar fires off the Shadow Punch, forcing the final Protect Shield. We see the aggressive pivot into Hitmonchan. The opponent's final Pokemon is a very annoying Charmer, Cutlassboy. Fires off the Close Combat. Close Combat is resisted, but still going to do more than an Ice Punch. Not only does it do more damage, it lowers our own defense, allowing this annoying Charmer even less free farm. We send back out Gengar, shield up the Psyshock. Gengar looks for the Shadow Claw farm down, however our lack of bulk could cost us this game as the opponent gets the resisted. Charm down, farm down. It's now Hypno versus Giratina in the zero shields. However, Giratina has a huge energy lead. Luckily for us, they don't have any ghost type charge move. We then see a very rare sight indeed. Giratina winning the CMP tie. The opponent fires off the Ancient Power, fishing for the boost. We don't see a boost. However, Giratina has bulk for days. They tank the Psyshock. Giratina wins the race to the next charge move, and unfortunately we're going to take the loss. GG's to that opponent. Cutlassboy shielded his low health Gengar, looking to claim another victim, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Moving on to the next battle. Gengar into Steelix. We've already seen one with Psychic Fangs. Hopefully this isn't another Psychic Fang. We see the instant no shield. Gengar tanks the breaking swipe. Steelix might think it's pretty thick, but my god, if the opponent doesn't respect the damage, they aren't tanking this. Focus Blast goes unshielded. Gengar claims yet another victim. We see Cutlassboy save switch into Hypno to reset his debuff. The opponent sends out Charizard, farm up some energy, and pivot out into Regirock. There is no shot. Do we land another Focus Blast? Hypno tanks the Stone Edge. I've shoutcast Cutlassboy many times. I know he is not baiting. Does the opponent respect the damage? No! Unfortunately, we don't land 2 Focus Blasts in this battle. The opponent has learnt their lesson. Stone Edge secures the knockout on our Hypno. However, we've got a very good answer for this Regirock in the form of our Shadow Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan is one of my favourite Pokemon in the Ultra League. It's normally the Pokemon that gets all the booms, but apparently Gengar is claiming the spotlight. We shield up a potential Focus Blast. The opponent also is not baiting. We now get the full counter farm down, back out. Comes Charizard. We fire off the Ice Punch. However, we lose CMP. The opponent full send the Blast Burner. A very good shield from Cutlassboy. Return fire with the Ice Punch. Ice Punch goes unshielded. Hitmonchan continuing to farm up. Firing off Ice Punch number 2, which will be forcing the final Protect Shield. Cutlassboy farming up. We attempt to make a catch. The opponent holds their energy. We don't get the Shadow Claw farm down. And unfortunately, Hitmonchan is about to be burnt to a crisp with the Blast Burn. And we're going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. Gengar into Cavalier. Another very nice lead. As again, we're going to triple resist these counters, which don't even get same type attack bonus. Gengar are looking like a real bulky boy. We see the instant shield deployed and the opponent baits us with an acid spray. What a savage. Cutlassboy going for the massive overkill of the Focus Blast. The opponent actually commit a shield. I think that's a really poor shield, as we should have went Shadow Punch, but it is what it is. We save switch into Hypno, drawing out Giratina. Hypno isn't the worst in this matchup, despite us taking super effective. We actually bait the Shadow Ball, forcing the final Protect Shield. The opponent continuing to overfarm. Cutlassboy fires off the next Psyshock, and again we see an undercharge. Oh, judging more of the frame drops, perhaps that wasn't an undercharge. It might have just been some lag. Holy crap, the opponent full send a Shadow Force. What is going on? Cutlassboy YOLOing nukes, his opponent's YOLOing nukes, everyone's nuking. Cutlassboy dies with the Psyshock. Perhaps he intentionally went down looking to farm up on Gengar, but no, Giratina makes one further charge move. The Dragon Claw did ridiculous damage. Gengar, where is your bulk? We then get Powder Snow farm down. It's now all down to Hitmonchan. The opponent goes for that wham bam combo play. Fire off the Acid Spray, lowering Hitmonchan's defense. However, that just gives us even more farm. And in case the opponent don't know about that big close combat boom, they're about to find out. Get fucking wrecked. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. Shadow on Shadow Crime. Gengar into a Bombsnow. Whoa, look at the Powder Snow though. Look at the Shadow Claw. This is like we're playing Little Cup, not Ultra League. Ultra League is pretty much the bulkiest league of them all, but certainly not when you're using Shadow Gengar. We see a very nice catch. Catching the Weather Ball. Onto Hypno. Cutlass Boy farms up. Typhlosion enabled to strike first. We shield up the Blast Burn. Cutlass Boy then throws one Confusion and the Psyshock for optimal fast move timing. That's 4 turns into 5 turns. Confusion, a very slow and clunky move. Typhlosion is going to outpace us to Blast Burn. Number 2. And Cutlass Boy is going to save 1 Protect Shield. Down goes Hypno. Typhlosion's now 3 Incinerates away from the next Blast Burn. We send back out Gengar. Look for the full Shadow Claw farm down and we get it. Back out comes a Bombsnow and Gengar looks for another victim. Do we claim it? Yes, sir. Get wrecked, the Bombsnow. The opponent's final Pokemon is Granbull. Gengar needs to pressure the final shield here with the Shadow Punch. The opponent, of course, petrified. Invest that final Protect Shield. It's now all down to Hitmonchan. The opponent looks to the full. Charm down, farm down, but Hitmonchan says no. Reach the close combat. Close combat even resisted. Enough to take that game. GG's and thanks for playing. Shadow Hitmonchan is a Granbull counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Gengar into Giratina. Since the very start of PvP, Giratina has not only been the top ghost type but the top dog of the Ultra League, but Gengar's here today. Gengar commits a Protect Shield, farms up, fires off the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch forces a Protect Shield. We then pivot into Hypno to catch the next Dragon Claw, saving our Gengar with residual energy. Dragon Claw doesn't do too much to the bulky Hypno, however these Shadow Claws are going to start chunking. We see the instant no shield deployed on the next Dragon Claw from Cutlass Boy. Hypno easily withstands the damage. The opponent sends out Articuno. Oh, I thought we were going to YOLO another Focus Blast. Apparently Cutlass Boy firing off the Legacy Psyshock, which does land for decent damage on Articuno. Articuno then outpaces by a singular turn to the Ice Wind, which will be secure in the knockout. Due to Articuno's Ice Flying type and the neutrals counter, we need 6 counters to secure the knockout, or we're going to get debuffed. Articuno too bulky for the counter farm down. Hitmonchan does get the debuff treatment. However, we do get the counter farm down. Back out comes Giratina. Giratina incredibly low. Even a debuffed Ice Punch will be knocking out. Giratina actually chooses to invest the Protect Shield. We look to go for the Wham Bam combo play into Gengar. We sneak the Shadow Claw. We shield up the Dragon Claw. The opponent's final Pokemon is Cobalion. And holy crap, get the screenshot ready. Cavalier straight in and straight out. Back out comes Giratina. And we Shadow Claw farm down and pick up a quality dub. My god, I'm having some fun with this shoutcast. Gengar into Registeel. Please land the Focus Blast. The opponent allow us to reach it first. There's no shot. There's no shot. Focus Blast. Oh, go shielded. Why would you run this stupid tin can if you're going to start shielding? It's incredibly thick and the opponent evidently the spoiler of all fun. The opponent again farming up. What the heck is going on this time? Cutlass Boy fires off the bait. We land the bait, we then pivot into Hypno, banking some energy. The opponent, a big fan of farming all the way up to 100 energy before firing off a charge where they fire off the Zap Cannon into Hypno, of course getting the debuff. Out comes Swampert. Hypno's pretty thick. Do we survive this Hydro Cannon? Yes, we do. The opponent running Purified Swampert, and there is a prime example of why you should run the Shadow. We fire off the Psyshock, even debuff to get Swampert down below half health. Swampert is now 3 Mud Shots away from the next Hydro Cannon. Cutlass Boy farms up, throws the Shadow Punch on the CMP tie. Shadow Punch should be secure in the knockout. No, Swampert survives. So there's a great example of difference between a Shadow and a regular. The Shadow would have knocked out our Hypno, or would have died to that Shadow Punch. The opponent sends out Steelix. Are you serious? It's going to be high Steelix, by Steelix as they're straight in and straight out. Gengar claims another victim. Back out comes Registeel, but Gengar still not done. Reaches the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch not the best move. Despite Gengar's ridiculous attack stat and Shadow bonus, Reggie does survive. However, they're probably in 1 counter farm down range. Focus Blast takes us out. Hitmonchan gets the 1 counter and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Gengar into Cresselia. Please tell me it's not confusion. Luckily it isn't. Gengar stays in. We throw 6 Shadow Claws and the Shadow Punch. Is that a CMP tie? It looks like it, or was that lag? No, it actually is a CMP tie. So this is only a Grass Knot. We see the instant no shield deployed. Grass Knot, my god, still did a lot of damage. The opponent safe switch into Steelix and we answer with Hitmonchan. The opponent's only thrown 4 Dragon Tails, either Breaking Swipe or Psychic Fangs. Of course the opponent's got the super effective Psychic Fangs, because why wouldn't you? However, undeterred, we farm up, go for a risky Ice Punch bait. Oof, the opponent does commit that shield. They look for the full Dragon Tail farm down. We commit to the close combat and we get Dragon Tail farm down. That is not good. cutlassboy sends out Hypno to operate as the damage sponge. The opponent anticipate Gengar returning and spam out a Psychic Fangs. Surely you've got Breaking Swipe Trainer. Do they? Of course they do. So Hypno now has a lowered attack and lowered defense. Absolutely fantastic. The opponent make one further charge move as cutlassboy committing to the full resisted confusion farm down. We invest a protection. We pivot back out into Gengar. The opponent's got a Shadow Machamp in the back. I think Shadow Machamp probably going to be sacrificed to the Pokegods. They tank the first Shadow Punch. Gengar able to outpace the Shadow Punch. Number 2. Machamp is indeed straight in and straight out back out. Comes Cresselia. Cresselia gets the Psycho Cut farm down. We're in the 1-to-1 shield. The opponent probably going to go straight Grass Knot, which Hypno would survive. We go for the safe play. Invest in a Protect Shield as we're able to outpace. To the back-to-back Psyshocks. The first one will be forcing the final Protect Shield, and the second one, despite being resisted, will be enough to secure the dub. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Gengar into Arcanine. A Shadow one on Thunderfang, and look at the Thunderfang damage we farm up. Fire off the Shadow Punch. I imagine Arcanine has to shield as it is so glassy. The opponent does indeed shield and we look to catch a potential Psychic Fang onto Hypno. A very nice play. We tank the Psychic Fang. The opponent now send out Drapion. Drapion able to outpace to a crunch. Shadow and Shadow Climb with a lowered defense. This time it's us straight in and straight out. We certainly won't be returning with Gengar into a Drapion. So we send out Hitmonchan. The opponent running Aqua Tail. So I was speaking to Matt Beer about this. The reason people run Aqua Tail is it's easier to flip the matchup against Registeel and of course hits a very top meta threat in Charizard for super effective. We farm up, throw the Ice Punch on the CMP type. Ice Punch doesn't knock out, however Hitmonchan can easily tank one more Aqua Tail. However, cutlassboy decides to keep some health Hitmonchan. We shield up the Aqua Tail, commit to the counter farm down. The opponent sends back out Arcanine. Arcanine incredibly low. Even a resisted Ice Punch will knock out or force the final shield. The opponent just let it go. The opponent sends out Shadow Politoed. A very nice triple Shadow team from the opponent, but I think we're in huge trouble here. cutlassboy shields up the Weather Ball, banks the close combat, pivots out into Gengar. We look to throw on CMP, however the opponent doesn't throw. If they don't shield this, it's game over. The opponent actually invests that Protect Shield, and they're about to find out the hard way that Politoed doesn't win CMP. Against Hitmonchan, we fire off the close combat and bang, there it is. Shout out to the Go Oxford U for that quote. Speaking of shout outs, a huge shout out to cutlassboy for that incredible battle submission. That was so much fun. One of the most fun shoutcasts I've done in a long time. Gengar is looking like an absolute menace in the Open Ultra League. Make sure you go grind them ghost type grunts or the 1-star raids, as Ghastly is also in raids. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. I will be giving priority to anyone who submits one of the new shadows. I'll look to get that video out ASAP. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.